Of course, Freya is with the Menzies research organisation. Let's get to what is my consistent question this week. That I think people are frightened about a rate rise, about the next one that's coming. When good people like Warren Hogan talk about 3 of them coming, when I was on holidays, this was the conversation, right? Apart from Trump getting shot and all the rest of it, right? Do you agree that if there's an interest rate rise, Freya, it's going to cause massive problems for the Prime Minister? Now, it's not going to be one terming, all the rest of it, but it is going to be right up there with losing the voice as a huge problem people are going to have.
From a political perspective, I mean, he got into government on 2 key promises. One, reduce household electricity prices by $275.
Gone.
Exactly. And the second one was reduce people's mortgages. Now, the average household with an average mortgage of $750K is currently $35,000 worse off under this government. If we have another rate rise, that will only push up that mortgage stress even further. And it also has a lot of flow-on effects. It can actually, we were talking about this before we went on air. I'm a first home buyer. At the moment, I'm getting married in December.
Congratulations.
And it is so difficult. So your borrowing capacity as interest rates increase is radically reduced. So it also forces more people into the rental market. Now, rental vacancy rates are running at 1.2%, half of what they were pre-COVID under the last 10 years of Liberal government. If we have even further interest rate rises, that is only going to put more pressure on the rental market and make it even more difficult to rent. So it's just this compounding problem. And while that's all happening, we're being hit with bracket creep, paying 20% more income tax. Real wages are declining 9%. It's just like, what's going on? Is there any hope?
You came armed with the numbers and I love it.
I did.
Michael, I remember our conversations in the dying days of the previous government that if nothing else, one of the things they should have said while going out the door is watch these guys on interest rates. Now, look, that may well have happened somewhere, but this is going to be a massive political issue if they go up. What do you reckon?
So, mate, of course, you've got to remember that Albo has a plan to fix the cost of living crisis. He has a plan. There's a cost of living crisis, he said 1,000 times during the campaign. He has a plan to fix it. It's just that we're still, our patience is being tested, mate, because we're still waiting. Look at it this way. Warren Hogan said, and he's been the most accurate of the commentators, he said rates will increase 3 times this year. Well, they won't. I mean, you can't have 3 times 0.25, if that's what he's talking about. You can't have that between now and December. The Albanese government, they'll lose every seat. But there could be 1, possibly 2, and it all depends what the junior inflation number is, which I think comes out next week. But look at it this way. In 2007, inflation was 3%, just before the election. They increased interest rates to 6.75. Inflation is now 4%. On the same basis, interest rates, if the Reserve Bank were following the same logic, they'd have interest rates somewhere between 8 and 9%. They're at 4.35. So the Reserve Bank that bullock knows that when you've got a gap between inflation and the cash rate of 0.35, which is what it is at the minute, that was 5.75% as a gap in 2007. That's why rates, if you want to affect inflation on the downward side, you have to increase rates unless that June number comes off dramatically from the 4%. And what does it mean for Albo? It'll mean that he was seen to be by the electorate as an absolute and utter fraud. His plan was just his photo on the front of an empty brochure, mate. This guy had no plan and was utterly fraudulent in what he told the electorate.
Well, he's already underwater in his popularity numbers. They will become dramatically worse. We don't wish for the economy to get worse because of political outcomes, but the reality is if it does, that is what is going to happen.